Hello everyone and welcome to NFLGirlUK Meets. I'm Bhandari and this is the show that brings you closer to the game you love. In this episode, I speak with Chris Milner, who is one half of the National Vintage League, a 90s-era sports store dealing in authentic jerseys and apparel from the NFL and the NCAA. The business was first launched by Hugh Coles in 2017, and it's incredible to see how it's grown to where it is today. In our interview, Chris shares with me their journey so far, where you can find vintage wear, what their personal favourite vintage era is, as well as what's next for the National Vintage League. Welcome to the show, Chris. How are you?
Very well, Liz. Good to hear from you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year indeed, and thanks for joining the show. I've been really excited to get you guys on. I've got a lot of love for what you and Hugh do. It's been amazing to watch how it's grown so far too. Now, for those who aren't familiar, perhaps you can tell them all about the National Vintage League and how it was, Chris, that you came to be involved too.
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like most people that know who you are tend to know who we are. I feel like there's a bit of a Venn diagram crossover there. But if people don't know, we started a couple of years ago. It's me and Hugh who started it. He started it with 300 quid in his bedroom. And then quite soon after that, we met at actually one of your events for the first time 2 years ago in Brick Lane.
It was, yeah, All Star Lanes.
Yeah, and that's right. And I came on my own, didn't know anyone, met you for the first time as well.
Yeah.
And look what happened. Look what blossomed. Aww. I would say, if you're getting anything from this, go to Liz's meetups, guys. Right? Because you don't know what can happen. Change your life.
It might.
It's true though, right? So because then I started writing for you before Hugh and I worked together.
Yeah.
That's where we. And then you very nicely took me on as a writer for 99 Yards for a bit. So for that whole season, 2018-19, I was with you, part of that stable. And then luckily for me, Hugh had grown the business to a point where he needed assistance. And we developed a relationship where he sort of realized that I was the only one that he could trust with niche NFL knowledge to the nerd level that he likes to sort of take it. And it kind of just worked together. So I started working with him properly sort of spring of this year. And the business has gone from strength to strength since then.
I love that my event is where you guys met, and I'm so excited to see what it's turning into you both. So, yeah, good luck with it all. Now, tell me about the typical process of finding vintage wear. Like, how would someone even go about looking? Like, where would they start?
I mean, like, the obvious place that most people start is eBay, right? But, like, generally, like, eBay is 99% people trying to rip you off when it comes to jerseys. Because, you know, they're quite easy. There's people in China, like DHK, that they make a business out of faking jerseys and ripping people off. So even though it seems like that's the easiest place, it's actually quite hard. And so some of the best places actually are the more hard work. So, like, you know, going to, you know, big vintage, you know, kilo sales in the middle of nowhere and like rummaging through dirty, stinky, you know, piss-stained, you know, ripped T-shirts only to find, like, you know, a 1994 original Jackson Jags T-shirt in there. It's like, oh, well, it was all worth it, you know. And, you know, you can find stuff in the weirdest places. Like, someone contacted us to say that he'd previously worked for NFL Shop during like the first season series of like the London games, and he'd been left with hundreds of dead stock, brand new with tags, jerseys from like the 2013 season, and he was like, do you want them? We're like, well, what have you got? And he's like, I've got a load of Calvin Johnsons, a load of Johnny Manziels. We're like, okay, that's all you need to say. Okay, how many Johnny Manziels? 75? Yeah, we'll be there immediately. And, you know, you never know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you can find some really cool niche stuff as well. Like, there's something that we haven't shown people yet, so you get a bit of an exclusive here, Liz. Yeah, so there was like an advert campaign with Hyundai in the NFL that involved Jason Bell and Ossie Omenura, our favourite people in the NFL UK scene.
Of
right?
course.
And Jason Bell competed against a car in like durability tests, okay? Dressed as an NFL player in a Hyundai NFL outfit with his name on the back.
Okay.
We managed to track down that exact jersey in America. So Ossie and Jason have signed this in like custom-made Hyundai NFL jersey.
That's wicked.
And so we've got it in the warehouse, and we're going to raffle it off at during the new year. So people can win it. It's so hilarious.
That's awesome. Well, hey, when you're ready to share that competition, let me know and I'll be sure to share that with everyone too. So now we know kind of where you would look for an item. What are the obvious giveaways that something is fake? Like, what is the most, I guess, fakest item that you've found?
Okay, the fake stuff. Some of it is hilarious. Like yesterday, we saw a jersey that had Mitchell and Ness in the collar, and then on the sleeve it had a starter patch. And it's just like those are two completely different brands. Like, I don't know whether other people find that obviously fake, but to us, it definitely is. Like, we don't sell authentics, but occasionally you'll find stuff in like vintage stores or thrift sales or something that sort of stand out, even though they're not legit. Like, we had a 49ers jersey that had the number 49 on the back and Faithful as the name. And it was clearly a custom-made jersey that there was no player called like John Faithful. Yeah. So it was a fake jersey, and we weren't going to sell it. So we said, okay, well, we'll post a video showing this jersey. We'll tell everyone it's not real, and we'll just give it away to the person that has like the best story about why they're a 49er fan. And we ended up sending it to this guy in Germany whose dad took him to games when he was younger, and like then passed away, and they could never go to a game together. And this guy's getting it framed, and he was like really emotional about getting it. And so sometimes it's fun because even fake stuff can mean something to some people, but what we deal in and what we sell is exclusively authentic.
Obviously, you come across so many different items. What is your favourite bit of NFL vintage kit you've found so far?
Oh, there's no question. We found a legitimate Sean Taylor Pro Bowl jersey so after he died. And being a Redskins fan, that was huge for me because it's a bit of a holy grail. I've got both of his other jerseys. We just found his rookie jersey, which is also a hard one to find. But the Pro Bowl one is unbelievable. And we've been offered thousands and thousands of pounds by people for it, and we'll never sell it.
Actually, that brings me perfectly onto my next question. How difficult is it to not want to keep an item you found for yourself? After all, it is a business at the end of the day.
That's the hardest part of the job. I'm not going to lie. It's so hard to just hoard stuff. Like, I'm literally looking at my wardrobe now. I've got a stitched Michael Vick Virginia Tech jersey, a stitched Marcus Allen USC jersey, a stitched white Tebow, a Ricky Williams Texas jersey, and it's like I never thought I'd had a college football jersey in my life. I never really enjoyed college football or watched it, but you just get addicted, and you like get addicted to players and like learning the history and watching old highlights, finding out crazy niche knowledge, and it's just such a cool way to spend your day.
If you could bring back any era of vintage kit, what would it be and why?
Oh man, Hugh and I would probably differ on this. He'd probably say 90s, like early 90s. I would probably say like 80s. But that shows our age difference, doesn't it? There, because I was born in that decade and he was born in the other one, the little millennial.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, I know. I'm still a millennial. I'm just like,
I know.
It supposed to count. It's annoying though. Get grouped in with the other end. But shout out millennials. They're literally our main market is millennials, so pick up them.
Now, sustainability is something that's obviously more important than ever. Like, how do you see the future of like vintage wear?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is one of our tenets, and we think that slow fashion and sustainable fashion, reusing stuff, restitching, rewearing, bringing back old classics is what needs to happen. Much more than buying cheap crap that's going to fall apart after 2 weeks, because it keeps it out of landfill. And the sad thing is, obviously, most jerseys and cool jackets that Starter and that make are made out of polyester, and they're always going to be here. But the old stuff's just as good, if not better. We think better than the new stuff. So why not just rewear the old stuff? And if you're going to make new stuff, Starter, look into more sustainable ways to do it. Look into not using virgin plastics. I mean, we went through this with Carl Banks in a pretty public Twitter spat.
Yeah.
But we think that companies like that could do more, and so we try our hardest. We use this like biodegradable packaging for everything we send out, and we try and be as environmentally friendly as we can. But I mean, you need big companies to sort of take a stand and set the way.
You mentioned the Twitter spat with Carl Banks, where you basically called them out on that exact point. He didn't take it very well, did he?
Really. But I mean, this is all on. If you really wanted to nerd out, you could just stroll through our Twitter and find it, or search Carl Banks and National Vintage League at the war. But basically, like, the thing is, his reactions, even though he has 100,000 followers or whatever, weren't getting many likes. And I think that's kind of indicative of like how people were feeling about his stance. Yeah. So, think what you want about it, but we feel like that was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I mean, I must say, from kind of seeing that conversation, he just sort of seemed a bit switched off from it. Didn't really seem to... It wasn't really a concern of his, let's put it that way.
Mine is, if I played second fiddle to Lawrence Taylor my whole life, I'd be a little bit jaded about things as well.
Fair point. Speaking of landing yourselves in trouble on social media, last year around the time of the London Games, Hugh posted a video in reaction to a YouTube post from two influencers who basically went to their first NFL game. It ended with you guys being blocked by certain accounts. I'm not going to name any names. Now, I thought that video was brilliant. It was tongue-in-cheek, it was funny, but actually, you said exactly what so many fans were thinking and feeling, and you weren't afraid to do it. Did you guys get any backlash off the back of that?
No, we didn't. It actually was probably one of the best sort of marketing things that ever happened, getting blocked by them. So they did us a big favour. And like, so many people reach out going, man, I wish NFL should be able to block me. And like, just sending us like stories, horror stories, literally about like their service.
Yeah.
But the thing, Hugh really did, like you said, sort of hit the nail on the head with that. And I think that really did upset quite a few people when they did that. And, I think it was a perfect response. Did you notice that the next week they started getting real fans on their story?
Yeah.
NFL.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's a really weird, situation, because I feel like they have to appeal to this whole new market, which is, the reason why they did this influencer thing in the first place, but they entirely forget they're alienating their existing audience by doing all this. So, I don't know, I'm hoping that next year, or this year even, will be a better year for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, look, bottom line is we're all part of a community, and it's a community that's growing, and it's a community that's got fiercely loyal fans that have been here for 40 years, some of them, from back in the old WLAF days.
Yeah, exactly.
So, respect that there is a history to the game here, and if you want to just reach out to people because they've got 1 million followers, and don't really know anything, that's your prerogative. There are better ways to do it,
exactly.
And if they can learn from that, cool, good for them. I mean, we know they follow us, we know they watch our stuff, we know they have their notice set. It's cool. We know we can work with them. We know we like their illegitimate child that they keep in the attic, but it's fine.
Now, you guys have got some seriously cool items in your stock. Are there any, teams that are particularly popular in comparison to others? And are there any teams that you don't really get a lot of requests for?
Yeah, interesting question. Yeah, it's funny. There are definitely players that sell very quickly. Like Randy Moss Patriots jersey will sell pretty quick. But weirdly, the Cowboys fans don't buy a lot of stuff, and nor do Lions fans. It's maybe because there aren't any Lions fans. No offense. No. I know, Lion Pride. I know you're there, but it's weird. Cowboys fans don't really sell, but most other teams do. Some teams are harder to find. Like Atlanta Falcons stuff's quite hard to find. Arizona Cardinals stuff's quite hard to find for some reason. But generally, we've figured out a way to get pretty much whatever we want at this point.
Now, obviously, you've got a lot of NFL stuff. Do you ever get requests for Canadian Football League wear? I know for a fact one of the 99 Yards writers, he is super keen.
Yeah, I mean, people do ask whether we're gonna branch out into other sports or other leagues, but the way we kind of look at it is we prefer to go for depth over breadth. Yeah. We feel like if we corner our lane and our market, then people will come to us. If they need other stuff, they'll have to go somewhere else. I mean, like, there are a couple of people we refer people to if they need, like, maybe basketball stuff or whatever. But, like, in general, no, we're going to stick with what we do, stick with what we know, and stick with what we're good at.
Yeah, I can appreciate that, actually. I know you've had some amazing requests come in over the past few months, especially from NFL players. Tell me more about that.
Oh, yeah, that's always good. Well, it's so surreal, honestly, because you have to kind of take a step back every now and again and sort of appreciate how crazy it is to do that, and like to have a personal interaction in DMs with an NFL player, and it's like a superstar. You know, like the other day, like literally 2 days ago, I was literally making pasta whilst DMing with Efe Obada about something. And I just took a second, I was like, what am I doing here? This is bizarre. Like, this is a really crazy situation to find myself in. And it's all thanks to Liz's meetups, guys. No. But no, so Efe was the big one. Efe's always supported us from the day dot. And he's been really, like, literally the number one friend of the store. He always shares our stuff. He invited us down to his camp down in Ferndale in Brixton, and he signed a ball for us. We gave him a Monarch shirt, and then we used that ball as like one of our giveaway items. And like, he's just always been a legend. So I don't know whether I should say, because it's not really confirmed, but there's something that we're looking to do in the new year that might involve him as well. So that would be quite cool.
Exciting. I shall keep my eyes peeled.
But yeah, other ones have been good. What's just a quick list? Shall I reel some off?
Go for it.
Got Jamie Gillan, wonderful Scottish punter, got him a Claymores jersey.
Awesome.
Got Jalen Mills, the Eagles and LSU jacket, and then another Eagles player hit us up after going, "Oh, could you get any more LSU stuff?" Which is quite cool. And Arakpo got that Texas Tech Majestic jacket. The list goes on, but it's crazy to have that level of interaction with those guys, and it's so nice when they share stuff, and it just helps us because, you know, we just want to get more exposure and get into the US market, and that really helps that. So fingers crossed next year, you never know. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, obviously you guys started off, and I guess you still are a online store, but I know you guys have got your warehouse. Kind of what's next for you guys? Have you got any plans of like opening like a physical store, or are you gonna try and like keep online?
Well, we kind of believe the high street's dead.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you know, the warehouse is such a cool place to hang out, but it's getting a bit small now. So the goal is probably to get a cooler warehouse where we could have like, you know, a load of couches and a couple of like consoles. I just bought my N64 from back in the day as a Christmas present, so we get GoldenEye going, mini fridges, and just have like warehouse visits. So we're going to schedule in the new year. You know, people can book a time slot one day to come down and browse the warehouse,
awesome.
and see if they want to buy something and have a brew with the lads.
Like it.
Cool. We're launching a podcast. We got too many people saying that we should bring our banter to their ears.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, you disagree? Okay, fine.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I didn't say I disagree. I agree with that.
We kind of were like, okay, why would anyone want to listen to just two complete like dickheads talking about crap? But okay, sure.
So you guys have nailed like Twitter. Honestly, like your conversations on there are honestly the funniest thing I've ever seen. This needs to be a podcast.
Okay, well, that's what the people want. They spoke, so we've got 3 episodes in the can. We've got some cool interviews lined up with some people, if you want irreverent takes on NFL that give you no sort of like meaningful information about what's going on, but you know, talk about, you know, Brian Arakpo being on the Great British Bake Off and like sacking Mary Berry for a showstopper, then this is the podcast for you.
People listening to this, where can they find you on social? Find your online store, tell them everything they need to know.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, National Vintage League on Instagram, NVL Tweets on Twitter, nationalvintageleague.com, and at the moment we've got our big January sale going on. So, 30% off over 200 jerseys right now.
Amazing. Well, listen, it's been lovely to chat to you, as it always is. I can't wait to see what's next for you guys. So best of luck with that, and no doubt I'll see you at the London Games to check up your pop-up shop.
Absolutely, Liz. Pleasure talking to you. See you soon.
Take care. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's podcast. I loved hearing the story behind National Vintage League, and I hope you did too. Join me next week where I'll be speaking to Alison Engelken, the Executive Director of Community Development at the Denver Broncos. Ali and I talk about the type of activity that she and the team are involved in, as well as the impact that this has on the community. See you then!